Hi, this is James Headley, and welcome back to the Living in Savannah channel. As it's been about a year since the Federal Reserve began its current raising cycle with a modest 25 basis point hike in March of 2022, I thought it could be informative today to take a look at a macro level at what the impact has been on the real estate market here on Skidaway Island. Of course, it would be a gross oversimplification to attribute these results and trends exclusively or perhaps even primarily to the Fed's tightening. So do take these numbers and the title of this particular episode with that necessary grain of salt. I should also note the usual caveat here on Skidaway that in some months and even in the aggregate, inventory has been light enough that we are still talking about some rather small ends here. Similarly, I have excluded the March 2023 data since the data points are very limited there, and it just didn't seem right to compare that with the prior 11 months of full data. With those caveats aside, before diving into the data, let me thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing, and encourage you to keep doing so. I really appreciate it. Now, on to the takeaways from the data. Number one, first, both original asking prices and eventual median selling prices increased from April 2022 through the beginning of March 2023, despite the Fed's tightening. At $925,000, the median original listing price was up over $125,000 or 15.6% over that period. Median selling prices increased a more modest 6.3% to $760,000. Second, there was anything but a smooth pattern over the course of this period. While one might expect that after rates started to climb, buyers would be less likely to pay top dollar, and then sellers would adjust their price expectations accordingly. Counter to that, the pattern resembles more of a bell curve when looking at the relationship between original asking prices and eventual selling prices month to month. For the first few months after the Fed started hiking interest rates, the intuitive results showed up with selling prices coming in at 89 to 95% of original asking prices. However, that's when expectations, or at least my expectations, kind of went out the window with median selling prices in 5 of the next 6 months actually exceeding the original asking prices. Then, just as abruptly, the percentages fell off the table again in January and February of this year, falling to 91 and 82% respectively. So what's this all mean for those of you that are considering buying or selling a home here on Skidaway? First, let me again stress that we are dealing with a small number of homes changing hands, so use that to temper these thoughts. But first, the overall market remains strong here on Skidaway despite the potential for downward pressure from external factors like interest rate hikes. Secondly, that said, the hockey stick price increases that were experienced virtually everywhere during the pandemic are a thing of the past for the foreseeable future, including here on Skidaway. 6.3% price appreciation in terms of median selling price in 11 months is still excellent. And it certainly far outstrips the costs of interest rate hikes for buyers seeking mortgages, as an aside. But it isn't parabolic anymore, which is probably a healthy thing. Number three, there is something going on with the way home prices are set here on the island. Both the month-to-month roller coaster variability that I mentioned previously and the more macro observation, assertion, hypothesis, choose whichever word you like, that in an environment of scarcity with inventories typically in the teens at best, it seems hard to fathom that homes would sell at 30% over asking price on average in 1 month and nearly 20% under asking just a few months later, right? Maybe it's the uniqueness of homes here, the variability in terms of those homes, or just individual buyer peculiarities, or something else is going on. And fourth, and finally, related to that last point, I think there is a key action item for prospective Skidaway buyers and sellers. For buyers, even more than in most markets, definitely assume that the asking price here is little more than a starting point suggestion. And that could be in either direction. That home you love might be meaningfully underpriced or overpriced, or perhaps priced just right. Now, I'm certainly happy to discuss my perspective on how to suss out which is the likeliest case and match the correct strategy to the situation and to your individual context. For sellers, don't put too much stock in promises of getting X dollars for your home when you decide to list without understanding fully where that number is coming from and what might be happening that could move it up or down significantly. As always, I'm here to discuss your particular real estate situation privately at your convenience, so please reach out anytime. Until then, thanks again for liking, subscribing, and sharing, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.